You slept 8 hours last night. You know you did, because you checked the clock. And yet this morning, before the coffee, you were barely functional. Not tired, more like offline. Like someone had switched off the part of you that's supposed to be ready for the day. You're not alone in this. And there is a specific physiological reason it's happening. One that has nothing to do with how much sleep you got. Let me describe something and tell me if it sounds familiar. Mornings are the hardest part of your day. You need caffeine not to perform better. You need it just to reach functional. Without it, you can't think clearly, you're irritable, and you feel physically heavy. But by evening, something shifts. Your thinking sharpens. You're more yourself at 9 p.m. than you were at 9 a.m. And when you finally try to sleep, you can't, even though you're exhausted. Or maybe this version is more familiar. You lie down, and instead of resting, your mind races. You have a vague sense of unease you can't explain. A quiet Sunday should feel peaceful, but somehow it feels worse than a busy week. You perform brilliantly under pressure and fall apart when things calm down. Rest doesn't restore you. It just suspends the demand for a while. The standard explanation for all of this is stress. You're stressed. Reduce your stress. Get more sleep. Exercise. Meditate. You've heard this. You may have tried it. And it hasn't worked. Not completely. Not at the level you need it to. That's not a failure of effort. That is a failure of the explanation. Here's what's actually happening. Your body has a rhythm, a cortisol rhythm, to be precise. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone, but that's an oversimplification. Cortisol is your body's get-ready signal, and its most important job, every single day, is to fire sharply in the first 30 minutes after you wake up. This is called the cortisol awakening response. That morning surge mobilizes glucose for fuel, activates your immune system, and sharpens your cognition. A healthy morning surge is the physiological reason you should feel capable before the first cup of coffee. But when you've been under sustained, chronic stress, not dramatic stress, but the ongoing low-level kind that never fully resolves, that morning surge begins to blunt. The signal that should fire sharply becomes quieter, slower, sometimes barely present at all. And that is why mornings feel the way they do. Your body's internal alarm clock, the one designed to bring every cell online at waking, is misfiring. At the same time, something else is happening at the other end of your day. In a healthy cortisol rhythm, cortisol reaches its lowest point by 9 or 10 in the evening, low enough for melatonin to rise and genuine sleep to begin. But with chronic stress, evening cortisol doesn't come down the way it should. It stays elevated. And elevated evening cortisol does two things. It suppresses melatonin, delaying sleep, and it keeps your sympathetic nervous system active, which is exactly why you come alive in the evening, why your best thinking happens at 10 p.m. The cortisol rhythm is disrupted, trending in that direction, producing the same symptoms, whether the levels have fully crossed yet or not. The body doesn't wait for a lab to confirm what it's already living. Now here's why sleep stops restoring you, and even when you get enough of it. When you sleep, your body is supposed to enter a stage called slow wave sleep, the deepest stage. And it is during slow wave sleep that growth hormone is released. Growth hormone drives cellular repair, immune restoration, and physical recovery. It is the biological mechanism of restoration. But cortisol specifically suppresses slow wave sleep. Even mildly elevated cortisol pushes your sleep into lighter stages. The deeper you need to go, the less of it you got. The same is true for REM sleep. REM sleep is where your nervous system processes emotional experience. Reducing the charge of difficult memories, consolidating fear extinction, giving you the neurological distance from yesterday that allows you to meet today differently. But chronic norepinephrine elevation, the other primary stress hormone, directly suppresses REM, the sleep stage most responsible for emotional recovery, is the one most impaired by chronic stress. You got 8 hours, but you didn't get the sleep your body needed. Here's the part that catches almost everyone. Researchers have found that after 2 weeks of disrupted sleep, people feel adapted. They report feeling fine. They've adjusted to a new baseline and no longer notice the impairment. But when you measure their actual cognitive performance, memory, executive function, processing speed, it has continued to decline throughout. They feel adapted because they've forgotten what full capacity feels like. This is called the adaptation deception. And it is why so many people don't recognize how depleted they are. They have normalized a state that isn't normal. What I've just described is a specific physiological pattern. It has a name. It has a mechanism, and it is reversible. We call it chronic adrenaline dysregulation, a state in which the body's emergency system has become its default operating mode. The system, designed to fire occasionally and powerfully, has been running at low-grade activation for so long it no longer knows how to stop. When people say they're running on adrenaline, what we measure in the clinic is cortisol rhythm disruption. The adrenaline is what you feel. The cortisol curve is what it looks like under the hood. Two descriptions of the same reality. This is not a character flaw. It is not a weakness. It is not stress you failed to manage. It is a predictable, progressive, mechanistically understood physiological state. Over 2 decades of clinical practice, I've mapped this pattern across 5 distinct zones, from early stage load accumulation through to deep depletion. Each zone has a specific clinical picture, measurable markers, and a specific direction of treatment. The most important clinical finding across all 5 zones is this: what restores you below a certain threshold actively depletes you above it. The interventions that work in the early stages cause harm in the later ones. The map determines everything. That map is in the course. The link is in the description. Your body was never working against you. It was solving the problem it was given. The morning heaviness, the evening aliveness, the sleep that doesn't restore, the rest that doesn't reach you, these are not failures. They are the precise, intelligent response of a system that adapted to a sustained load it was never designed to carry indefinitely. The question is never, what is wrong with me? The question is, what is my body solving for? When you understand the answer, everything changes. In the description below is a free 5-day course. Day 1 alone will change how you read every morning you've ever had. Over 5 days, I'll walk you through the full mechanism. What's happening in your body, how it progresses through 5 distinct stages, why conventional approaches miss it, and what genuine recovery actually requires. The link is in the description. I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Dr. Jason Trombley, Doctor of Acupuncture and Oriental Medicine, acupuncture physician. This is the Adrenaline Project.